What's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we have major price action over here in the cryptocurrency market with Bitcoin selling off quickly this morning with a massive dive happening overnight of over $1,000 in less than 1 minute, with prices pulling back into the level that we had back in late July, taking the rest of the cryptocurrency market with it, as the altcoin market has appeared to have found resistance as it has reached back over here to the early June, late May prices. Now, if you remember correctly, for the last week, we've been talking about this happening in the altcoin market and happening over there in Bitcoin, that it would be likely that we are done moving up for now in the altcoin market, and that we're going to spend a few weeks bouncing around in here. And that what I was looking for was an actual long squeeze to happen in Bitcoin so that the prices would fall back quickly. And well, considering we got such a fast sell-off happening in here, that tells me that was likely stop losses getting triggered and liquidations getting triggered rather than panic selling. So we'll review all of that. We'll discuss whether or not this can be the bottom and what can we look forward to going into the weekend. Before we get started, this video is sponsored by Link2, Private Investing Made Simple. As you guys know, I am an investor over here on Link2. I do own private equity on their platform. Link2 gives you the ability to invest in private equity or into companies before they actually have their IPO. They have lots of familiar companies such as Ripple, Link2, BitPay, and Dapper Labs, which, funny enough, I actually saw the CEO of Dapper Labs over there on CNBC yesterday talking about NFTs for the NFL. But once again, this weekend, they're reducing the minimum investments over there on their platform to $5,000, so that has been cut in half. That is good through now until Sunday at 11:59 Pacific Standard Time, right over here on Link2. You can check them out by visiting the link in the description of this video to see if you can take advantage of the promotion for accredited investors and get yourself accredited today. Now, with the big move that has happened over here in the cryptocurrency market this morning, I think before we really just start talking about this price action, we should kind of review the things that we've been talking about for the last week. So we've been talking about this since last week, kind of waiting for this moment to happen. So we're going to go back and watch this video, the big catch up for Bitcoin as the altcoin market and stock market keep rising. Bitcoin accumulates. We're going to go watch this little clip really quick. This is from last week. With Ethereum and Binance already being right here, and with the stock market already being right here, my guess is going to be that we're going to actually break up. The thing is, we've been in here for 2 whole months at this point. So does it mean it's going to happen tomorrow? Does it mean it's going to happen next week or the week after that? It's been 2 months. But my bias is that the bottom is in. And if we're going to catch up here, and I had to guess how it's going to happen, it'll be just like bottoms typically have. Right now, there's probably a lot of leverage in both directions. There's probably leverage to the upside and leverage to the downside. And the thing that we're probably going to do, if I had to guess, would be something similar to what we have right in here, is to go take out all of the leveraged longs, which will then create a bunch of leveraged shorts. And then that is the start of the actual move to the upside. We also discussed this over here on Monday too, the anticipation that there still would be a long squeeze that would happen in here for the prices to pull back. In which, on Monday, we were talking about a long squeeze coming in. And hey, look, it wouldn't be surprising if there's a long squeeze that rocks its way down and then fires its way back up. And that is exactly what we saw happen over here. And then at the same time saying, hey, you know what? It seems more likely that the altcoin market has stopped at this point. We're going to have a couple of weeks of going sideways. But is this what we're looking for over here on Bitcoin? Is this how it's playing out? Like said in the video last week, if I had to guess, would be something similar to what we have right in here, is to go take out all of the leveraged longs, which will then create a bunch of leveraged shorts. And then that is the start of the actual move to the upside. So does this move actually look like what happens when stop losses and leveraged liquidations are actually happening? You can tell by looking at the 1 minute chart by how fast it all happened in here. And I do have a premium account over here on TradingView, so we could even look at the 1 second chart in here, which again, no one should ever be trading the 1 minute chart, let alone actually looking at the 1 second chart. The only reason we're looking at the 1 second chart is to see, does this exhibit liquidations or is this panic selling? And without question, this is liquidations. This is auto triggering of stop losses and liquidations of portfolios happening in here, because we could see how fast this all happened in here. And this all took 1 minute to play out in here for Bitcoin to crumble $1,136. This is not enough time for a bunch of people to sit there and start panicking, especially when it's happening where in the United States most people are sleeping at this time. This is the automatic liquidations. And here we go. Cointelegraph 3 hours ago. Crypto market bloodbath leads to over $500 million in liquidations. Data from crypto analytic firm Glassnode shows future long liquidation of Bitcoin touched a new 8-month high. So what happened? Longs got liquidated. And the thing that we're probably going to do, if I had to guess, would be something similar to what we have right in here, is to go take out all of the leveraged longs, a new 8-month high of long liquidations, pulling right into the price level we were looking for with confirmation that there was a bunch of long liquidations. So bingo. Now it's about waiting to see what happens here to see if this level is going to actually hold. So in a lot of circumstances where we see this, if this is this, and I've seen these things play out multiple times before, we pull down here, what's going to happen? Sentiment's going to flip right back to bears. The people who have been bearish are going to scream that they've been right. We'll see a pileup of shorts begin to happen in here, and then the prices will whipsaw right back up. And examples that I've looked at, usually that's going to be the move. That's enough that gives it enough juice. But we did even review an example earlier this week where it's still played around even longer than that. So the main real thing is to see that this area does hold, that this low does hold in here, and that there is a nice rise that takes us right back up above the height that was set right back there at a little bit over $25,000. If that happens, that's good confirmation to me, at least, to say, hey, it's still playing out exactly as these things kind of do. The kind of not so great news about the whole thing that is playing out here is it does still stack more probability in the favor that if Bitcoin does work its way back up, that this is just going to be a retrace happening in here, and that the price is, the biggest danger area for Bitcoin is going to be up there near that $40,000 price level. So that whole move right there kind of adds to that structure of this is kind of what happens in here, and then these things pull right back down again. So that'll be something kind of, to look at again as time comes, if that's the way things get played out. Right now, obviously, we're just focusing on this level and making sure that we're going to hold 20,700 at this point. But if we do, and if we start seeing the whipsaw back up and everybody screams, it's manipulation, it's manipulation. Well, this is how markets work, right? They will liquidate in each direction. Right now, we just got all the longs liquidated. Now there's a bunch of people who are selling their bags, and there's a bunch of people who are now shorting. So it's very common that then we go back and liquidate the other side too, and liquidate them all to the upside. So as we head into this weekend, it's to say that, hey, we're looking for there to not be any further action beyond that. That this whole move that happened in here was merely just this. It was the 1 minute liquidation of everything. Now prices are settling out. Now people are panic selling in here, but hopefully the panic selling doesn't have as much of an effect as what the actual liquidation did, right? These are people's portfolios getting completely liquidated for using too much leverage, and it's automatic stop loss triggering that cascades. Like we showed on the 1 second chart, it just happens in a blink of an eye. All this stuff in here, this is people just kind of freaking out. But what we'll want to see throughout the weekend is to see that these price levels do hold in here, because this was the anticipation of where the liquidation would take us down to. We got the liquidation that we were looking for. We were looking for long liquidation. Next up on deck, looking to see if we can get some shorts liquidated. However, these things don't typically happen immediately where we just turn right back up and say a couple hours after I release this video and it goes. Usually we're going to hang out here for a minute at the lows and really just stay in here and then finally whip it saw back up. Kind of like what we saw back over here. But the thing throughout the weekend that I'll be watching for to say that this idea is still valid is my expectations are that we would at least hold this low. So looking to see that $20,700 does continue to hold for that idea to remain valid. If we start taking out those lows, especially if we start dipping really far down, we go below 20K or something like that, I'll start questioning all of it. But so far, it's done exactly what was expected, about a $3,000 quick fall, and then especially a liquidation style fall. We saw a ton of longs get liquidated. That's what was on deck. Next on deck, short liquidation, but definitely want to see 20,700 hold for that idea to remain true. And while it's a crazy day out there, lots of price action, there's really not a whole lot to say about it that we haven't talked about for the last week. It's just now we're getting it to actually play out. Now the big question is, does the low of 20,700 hold? If it does, hey man, those shorts getting liquidated, is what we're crossing our fingers for. So I, of course, will be keeping my eyes on it like a hawk the rest of today and throughout the weekend. Like I mentioned throughout the week, I needed to take a day off because I have a lot of things I need to take care of as the summer's wrapping up and the final trips are happening. We're taking a little road trip this weekend, but of course I'll have my phone with me, so I'll be able to hop over here on Twitter and post charts. I'll bring my laptop with me. There won't be any videos throughout the weekend, but I'm glad to see this actually played out before I left because at least we can talk about it today and show how these are the things we've talked about for a week now. But any moves will be discussed over here on Twitter, so you can follow me on Twitter at BCBacker. As for it being Friday, a little bit of a fish tank update. We still have every fish. None of them have passed away this week. That's just kind of the accomplishment. We've now gone 2 weeks keeping everybody alive, and the fish tank is looking cleaner than it usually does, so we're kind of getting better at that. We had one fish that we had to end up moving because it seemed like she was getting rejected by the rest. She was starting to kind of float up and down and like not using one of her fins. We're like, okay, this fish is going to die. And so now she lives in her own tank. So a little 3.5 gallon tank, and she lives in there by herself. And she is now back to perfect health. And now we're stuck with the situation of where we have 2 fish tanks where there's like 7 fish or 6 fish in one tank, and then there's 1 fish in another tank. And I don't know what I'm going to do about that situation there. I definitely don't want to be managing 2 fish tanks. So I have to figure out how I'm going to reintroduce everybody. Otherwise, as for drumming, up late last night again, a drum band practice till like 10:30 at night. As for the songs that I'm trying to learn Lifeline by Papa Roach, Heaven Knows by the Pretty Reckless, Be Quiet and Drive, and My Own Summer, both by Deftones. Definitely those Deftones ones feel like they're impossible. But I do feel like I have Lifeline down pretty good. Otherwise, that's what's going on with me. As for crypto, as for the markets, I'll be keeping my eyes on it throughout the weekend, and I'll be checking in with you guys over here on Twitter if anything happens. So as we head into the weekend with discounted crypto prices, again, sponsor of the channel, Link to, has discounted minimum investment requirements down to 5K. You can check out all the private equity options they have over here on their website by visiting the link in the description of this video to get yourself accredited today to see if you're interested in getting invested in companies prior to their IPOs in the private equity world. But otherwise, we got our long liquidation, we got our long squeeze. Fingers crossed we have a short squeeze coming up next. But all right, guys, that's going to be it for this one. I want to wish you a happy weekend. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.